All right, folks. So the Supreme Court of the United States, I am BKP. You're watching BKP Politics on FYNTV.com. So the Supreme Court of the United States will not hear any cases brought before them concerning the 2020 presidential election. They will not hear any. Now you have states trying to set voting standards, much like Georgia. The Supreme Court does not have the guts. There's no standing. Everything we heard was we didn't have standing. So we didn't have standing. So the Supreme Court would not hear any cases. Linwood, Giuliani, Sidney Powell, it doesn't matter who brought the case. They would not hear any cases. Kelly, Representative Kelly's case in Pennsylvania, wouldn't hear a case one concerning the 2020 presidential election. But they're choosing to hear the voting rights challenge at the Supreme Court as states change rules. Okay? Now, they're going to hear a voting rights case. This is out yesterday. Voting rights advocates are worried as the Supreme Court prepares to hear arguments in the Arizona case that could undercut the landmark law that protected the rights of minorities at the polls for a half century. Tuesday's clash, that's today, over the 1965 Voting Rights Act comes as Republican-controlled states considered a barrage of new restrictions that could make it harder for minorities to cast ballots in 2022 elections. This all goes together. It follows November's presidential contest, which President Trump refused to concede, instead made baseless assertions, widespread fraud. And the case comes before the Supreme Court that bolstered by three Trump appointees, has only grown more conservative since it's nullified a key component of the law in 2013. The court could decide this in a number of ways, which could include weakening or limiting the law, said Perez, a voting rights litigator at New York University. The case centers on the law's Section 2, a provision that now the primary tool for challenging voting laws as discriminatory. Section 2 took on a heightened importance after the High Court's 2013 Shelby County decision effectually killed a separate section, a separate section that had required some states to get federal clearance before they changed the voting rules. Okay? So there's a lot going on here on this case. And the case is, if you want to look at it, the case is Brnovich versus Democrat National Committee. Okay, the issues: does Arizona's out of the precinct policy violate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act? Does Arizona's ballot collection law violate Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act or the 15th Amendment? Okay, and the Supreme Court, the case is scheduled for argument before the Supreme Court March 2nd, 2021. It's taking place today. This could have a lot of implication on what's going to happen in Georgia with future laws that state legislators are trying to craft now. Let me see what I have here that I missed that I may want to finish up on. A couple things that are happening. This guy right here, number 30, Miguel Cardona, okay, he is headed for confirmation. Now, what I want to say is I'm not trying to put you in any fear, but if you think the 57 or whatever, if you think the 57, you know, executive orders Biden signed, just say disaster for this country, I'm sorry to report it's getting ready to kick into high gear when these people get confirmed. This is when they can start taking the executive orders, and these people rule without law. What they say in these bureaucracies, Board, the Department of Education, these departments, they create their own laws. Yes, they do. They create their own laws. They go in and they make their own regulations. And then if you don't like them, you got to fight them in court, but they follow through with them. So Miguel Cardona is going to be confirmed as education secretary. This guy is well on his way of destroying and doing his part in instituting the equality, equity, destroying youth sports, women's sports in America. Going to be confirmed. Here's another one. Get ready. It's going into high gear. Department of Justice, you have not seen anything in high gear until this guy gets his revenge, and he gets to take his revenge out while satisfying the deep state. Number 32, okay? Merrick Garland is going to be confirmed as your new Attorney General, Department of Justice, getting ready to go in a high gear, okay? Now, a couple things that we need to keep an eye on just before we close today. I have something here. You can go ahead and leave him up. Bills that are happening right now that you should call family and friends is the HR1 for the People Act. And Stacey Abrams is helping. Yes, she's very helpful, trying to get HR1 passed in the House. Okay, right now, for the People Act, all right, is basically to federalize elections. And then you have HR 1280 you got to keep an eye on this week. George Floyd Justice in Policing Act of 2021. George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. So a guy that died with fentanyl, basically with enough fentanyl in his system to kill him, George Floyd, we know so much about now, has his name on a bill, the Policing Act. So that's over in the House and in the, let me get this, also the bills, these are the most viewed bills right now. HR 127, Licensing and Registering Act of Firearms. HR 5, go look up HR 5, the Equality Act. HR 1, we just spoke of, For the People. HR 1319, the American Rescue Plan. And let's see, the Senate, which I had here just briefly a moment ago. I was reading how much COVID money. The $9 trillion will be taken up this week in the Senate. That's pretty much it. It's 10 o'clock Tuesday morning. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be back at 8 a.m. Sorry about that. I was up a little late last night, so it's just now catching up to me. I didn't get home till late. Went to a high school football game in North Carolina. Got in very late, got up early, So I have to be honest. It's about time for my nap, and I think I'll take one. Emily, good to have you back today. You out there, don't forget how you can contact me, send me information, be a part of what's going on. Voice of Rural America. Emily, take us out of here, and we'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 a.m.